Good morning, y'all. This is Cody. Cody's Bait and Tackle, Warsaw, Missouri. I'm going to give a little bit of a fishing report here, talk a little bit about what the bait's done this week, talk about what the fish have done. As far as they're kind of in a full-blown winter pattern now. Everything's kind of changed. They've kind of transitioned. Bluffs, the brush piles on the bluffs, standing timber on the bluffs, doing pretty good. Creek mouths, them upper end creek mouths have been really good right now. And it varies on depth up there. They're catching anywhere from 2 to 8 foot down. I've heard 8 to 12 foot down. Depends on what range of water you're in on where them crappie are going to be. As far as on the main lake, a lot of them are 15 to 18 on some of them bluffs. An old creek channel I went up yesterday, and fish was absolutely loaded in 15 to 20 foot of water. I mean, it looked like big giant schools of giant shad on the graph, and it was all crappie. I'm pretty sure if somebody wanted to spider rig some of that stuff, you'd tear them up, single pole jig, live scope, it wouldn't matter. Them fish are, especially with this cold front coming in, them fish are going to start feeding hard. Water temperature is going to start dropping again. During the late fall, early winter, when that water temperature is dropping, them fish are all feeding. They're getting ready for winter, getting ready for that water to cool off. I've had anywhere from 58 to 62 degree water this week. It's kind of bounced around a little bit depending on time of day or depending on the sun. I heard a couple people say the upper ends, they seen up to 65 degree water. That messes them fish up when that water temperature is coming up during the winter time. And I'm saying winter time, it's still late fall, but we're not quite into a full-blown winter pattern on everything yet. Them crappie have transitioned over. Catfish are working on it. A lot of time winter, them catfish will go to the trees. They haven't quite done that yet. They're still roaming the edges of the flats and stuff like that. Some have moved up the creeks. I fished shallow a lot this week. As far as on catfishing, I caught catfishing from a foot of water to 40 foot of water this week. Most of the week I did stay shallow. Usually if them fish will go up in that couple foot of water, them fish are feeding. You can get them to bite. You gotta have wind to keep them from spooking out away from the boat. You got to be real quiet. Try it when you're tying your boat up or anchoring down. You got to not make much noise, or them fish are going to be gone after you graph them. I had a couple days I couldn't get them to stay put. I'd get rods out and catch one or two, maybe even catch them before I got all the rods out, and then have to move because we spooked them off. I did 2 days ago. I pulled up on a shallow water spot, about 4 or 5 foot of water, and we had a pretty good wind, and we just sat there and caught fish until we limited out. And then it went real fast. We caught probably 7, 8, 9 fish just in a matter of minutes. We was actually throwing fish back as we was winding rods in after we caught limits. Yesterday I didn't try that shallow water bite. We had some wind. We had a cloud cover, and it wasn't the conditions I'd done the best this week, so I focused on 25 to 35 foot of water yesterday. There's a ton of fish in that depth. They're not all active. There's so much bait schooled up with them. It's just hard to stay on a good bite there. We caught, I'd say, 3 to 6 fish in every spot we fished yesterday. We caught a good flathead in about 35 foot of water. That midday yesterday, when this front first started to really push into the area, all the bait kind of schooled up, pressure changed, bait pushed down deep where it had been scattered all over the place all morning, flipping on top, and just been all over. It all pushed down about 20, 25 foot deep, something like that. It just looked like a solid blanket across the graph of bait, and then all the fish and bait was underneath that. It's pretty wild for before front come in, and it was like several hours before it started to push in. And we actually caught that flathead right after that happened, so it might have pushed him off a ledge or pushed him down a little bit deeper or something too. As far as bait this week, you guys, most of my bait that we fished off of all week come out in less than a foot and a half of water. They'll continue that pattern down to upper 40-degree water. You'll be able to find some of them bigger shad shallow like that. There is still a lot of big bait balls that are schooled up deeper. Depends on where you're at in the lake. You know, they're going to be, upper ends are going to be in your creek channels, schooled up deeper. The main lake, they're just kind of roaming out on the flats. Yesterday, where I was at, they kind of all pushed down towards the old river channel and schooled up in it. It's pretty wild. I didn't have my deep hole net. I did make one throw and caught about 10. Let us finish up the day. And then I missed them several throws too, just because I didn't have that deep hole net I needed. I'll talk about that. I'll make another video on that probably next week. I've got to retape a net, so I'll try to do a video when I do that. You'll want to watch for that. If you catfish during the winter time, you can spend $150 on an actual deep hole net. You're probably going to lose it. You know, shad nets are very disposable, especially in Truman Lake where there's deep trees, deep stuff to get hung on. I don't hardly lose any nets at all during the summertime. I lost a net yesterday trying to catch some deep shad. And I was in 35 foot of water and lost a net. So, that just kind of not necessary money. Duct tape will make just as good a deep hole net as anything. And it actually, I think when it gets cold, it stiffens your net up a little bit and helps it open up easier. Seems like them tape nets just really open up good. And usually as soon as that bait starts going down deep, I will go to that. So we'll do a video next week on that when I tape up a net here in the shop. So that's bait covered, crappie covered, catfish. You know, I haven't fished Lake of the Ozarks this week. Last week it really slowed down. Only active fish I could find last week was on ledges, a few in wind-blown pockets. I would say that's been the same deal this week. I haven't talked to anybody at all that's catfished down there. Jeremy Ransom fished over the weekend. He said it was pretty slow. He did catch fish in some wind-blown pockets, but he said it was a lot slower than what it had been, same as I found last week. I haven't talked to too many guys up on Truman on the white bass. I have seen quite a few still in them wind-blown pockets, them black mud pockets where the bigger shad are. I've caught some in my throw net this week. As far as them fish transitioning out of that pattern, white bass, hybrids, I've seen a lot of hybrids up in the creeks this week. They're not staying put. They're just moving around chasing that bait. Seen a few walleye in the creeks this week. I did see one really good pot of walleye. There was probably 10 or 15 of them in it. Looked like some good ones. And they was all in a halfway back in a creek. They was just kind of laying there. They was there when I went by, and they was there when I come back by. So, and some people wonder on them walleye kind of what they look like on the graph. Them walleye will kind of lay nose to tail, and they'll kind of line up in a line along a ledge or along a little drop, or you know, just kind of any little difference they'll kind of lay on, and you can tell because they'll kind of be staggered. Almost looks like footsteps on a graph, but they're little long skinny fish. So most of the time if you see that on the bottom, that's walleye doing that. Especially during the winter time. I see some bigger groups of them the colder it gets in them creeks. Really nobody tries to fish them up there that time of year. Most people don't know where they go, but a lot of your fish are going to go up them river channels, go up them bigger creek arms. You know, that's kind of your winter pattern. So on all fish. So catfish, they'll stay roamed out, but a lot of them will go up in them areas. Talk a little bit about the ducks this week. It's still halfway dark outside, and I'm hearing shooting like crazy. They're working them over already, and it's dark enough. I don't even know if I could see one fly in right now. But there's more ducks on Truman Lake right now than I have ever seen in my life because of all this low water. I've seen some huge flocks of divers, huge flocks of gadwalls, mallards, widgeon. I mean, there is a ton of ducks up there. For the last 4 hours this morning, laying in bed, all I heard was snow geese flying over. So this cold front that come in last night, it's pushing a ton of ducks down. If you're a duck hunter, this weekend is going to be it. I mean, this is going to be one of the biggest pushes I would say we see this duck season. This last little cold front, it pushed, I'm going to say hundreds of thousands of ducks through here. And one day I know I seen over 15, 20,000 ducks on Truman just on the big water. They wasn't up along the banks. There's no vegetation for them. They'd be extremely hard to hunt unless you do have a good spot kind of secluded where they'll come in and land. A lot of Canadians. I've seen Canadian geese absolutely all over the lake this week. I'm not sure when that season starts back up, but there's definitely a lot of them pushing through too. Should be a good, this next week should be on fire for everything. That water temperature is going to start dropping again. I had some people want me to talk about what the cold front's going to do to the fish. The first day of the cold front, you never know. Never. I've wanted to reschedule trips because of a huge cold front pushing in. End up going out. Or my clients wanted to reschedule on me. End up going out anyways. Have the best fishing day possible. Can't keep rods in the water. And then I've had that initial day of the cold front really slow them down. These real windy cold fronts like we got today, them have usually been the best. Them fish like wind. You know, that makes that feeding noise, I guess. Pushes the bait down. Seems like the fronts that come in with no wind are the ones that are going to slow the bite down. As soon as the water temperature starts dropping, them fish will all start feeding. I'm going to say by midweek, the catfish bite's going to be really good. Crappie bite's going to be really good. White bass and hybrids will probably be slowing down a little bit. Them shallows will start dropping off pretty fast in temperature. That will be kind of the pattern you're going to see with this cold front. The catfish, they'll probably stay where they're at. Some of them might push out of them shallows. Depends on what part of the lake you're on. You know, Tally Bend, deep water, Sparrowfoot area. Them fish have shallow water. They don't have a whole lot of deep water to go to. So, Tally Bend they do. Horseshoe Bend, there'll be some stay shallow. I've heard that bite's pretty slow. I talked to Chad Short yesterday. He said it was pretty slow up there. Sparrowfoot's been really hit and miss. One day they'll tear them up, next day sucks. And that's just these days. That water temperature coming up usually slows them down. And then no wind. You know, back to the wind. If you're shallow water fishing, you have to have wind. Or you'll get your boat close to them fish, get set up, and them fish are gone. They will not stick around if they hear a bunch of noise going on. That's something, if I'm on a real good shallow water bite, I've got clients that I can't take on that bite because I know that they can't settle down and be quiet. It's just that simple. If I've got pretty mellow clients, pretty laid back clients, I'll take them and put them on that shallow water bite, and it's the funnest bite you can have. I did fish it most of this week. I fished shallow except for yesterday. I'd start off deeper in the morning, start off 25, 30, 35 foot of water. And then as soon as that sun got up good, I'd go back shallow as long as we had some wind and catch them. So we caught limits most of the week. Only had one day we was, I don't know, 10 or 15 fish short of a 4-man limit, but we still did really good that day. We caught around 30 fish. It wasn't bad. So that's about it. I can't think anything else people have asked me this week to mention. Lake of the Ozarks crappie report. Them docks are starting to load up. Them crappie are in a winter pattern, are pulling out of them creeks. The shallower creeks are pulling out of. Deeper creeks they'll load up in. Them deeper creeks that's got over 20, 25 foot of water in places, over 15 foot of water. Them fish will school up in them deeper spots in there, underneath them deeper docks. They're really starting to do good around them. Couple guys that's got docks off some of the bluffs down here, they've been in this week getting minnows, said the crappie bite is awesome. So that winter bite's definitely picked up down there too on crappie. I have not heard anything at all on bass this week. Everybody I've seen's been beating them shallower points, them shallow pockets in the back of the coves where them bigger shad are shallow. That's kind of what I've seen everybody bass fishing on. Everybody that come in the shop, they was either wanting like square bill crankbaits, they was wanting real shallow stuff, or buzz baits, or had quite a few people this week wanting chatterbaits, which is normally not a Truman Lake item. It's more, usually if we sell chatterbaits, they go down to Palm de Terre or somewhere else, or ponds or something like that. But we had a lot of people last weekend asking for them. They said they was doing pretty good on them. So that's really about all I've got for you guys this week. I'll make another video next week on showing that tape net for catching bait. Good luck, you guys, this weekend. If you're duck hunting, you should have an awesome weekend with this cold front. If you're deer hunting, you're looking for one like that there, great big one. So good luck on that. Rifle season starts tomorrow morning. I hope you guys are all safe. Hope everything goes good. Make them memories with your family. You know, that's the biggest thing on hunting season. Make them memories that you don't forget. Same way with fishing, you know. Some of these fishing trips I run, that's all it's about, is making good memories to take with you. Whether you catch fish or not, whether you kill that big buck or not, you know, it's spending time with your family is what matters. Spending time with your friends is what matters. That's a lot more important than killing or catching. So I appreciate it, y'all. I hope y'all have a safe weekend. Good luck on whatever you do. And I'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.